Our first keynote speaker is Professor László Miklós. László Miklós is a leading Slovak landscape ecologist and geographer, author of over 200 scientific papers whose research is focused on landscape geosystems, slope dynamics, ecological networks, and landscape planning. He has significantly influenced environmental policy and education in Slovakia and abroad, serving as Minister of the Environment, professor at several universities, and recipient of numerous prestigious awards.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and friends of the landscape ecology. I hope others with this greeting, all of you. Actually, you came here because of you are friends of landscape ecology. So let's start. I will be not so funny as the musicians before, but I try to be serious. No? Okay. The landscape ecology story is really certainly the story of Milan Ružička. Unfortunately, we are very sorry that he didn't attend already our meeting today. It was only 1 year that he died before last year. Some reminiscence. He was 70 on this photo. He was 80 on this photo. He was 90 in this photo. A very nice person. A very nice person. Oh, the institutionalization of the landscape ecology in Slovakia has a quite long story. I try to see not completely and not fully, but some of cornerstones. Intensive interest, the driving force was really an intensive interest of all the scientists and politicians on environment in 60s and 70s. Even it was a socialist era, but the interest there was. But no landscape ecology exists. Just a personal reminiscence. I was in my university in 1970. We assigned a topic which was called Nauka o Landschaft. Landschaft is a Russian or German word, and we in Slovak we didn't use that time krajina. And krajina is in Slovak landscape. So we signed the topic Nauka o Landschaft, in this word, Landschaft. Only next year we signed already a Slovak word, Nauka o Krajine, so science on landscape in Slovak. Okay, the Scientific Institute for Complex Landscape Research were nowhere. Only biological, geographical and other institutes existed in Slovakia. And there was, at that time, a serious competition of biologists and geographers, even fights, sharp disputes on the terms, on approaches. Let's say that what is the landscape? It was the basic term, what is the landscape? Because in Slovak language, krajina is a very common word. It is not no specialist. It is doesn't sound as scientific. Who qualifies as a landscape ecologist? And what are the competencies in institutions? What is the ecosystem and what is the geosystem? Then came, after these disputes, came a very important moment, establishment and development of the Institute of Landscape Biology of SAS, what we celebrate today. It was 1st January 1965, and it was really a personal initiative of Professor Ružička, and it is to be underlined, there was a friendly understanding of the problem by the then leadership of Slovak Academy of Sciences. It was a very good, very important moment. How was the development of Institute of Landscape Biology? In 1965, at the establishment, there were 4 departments, 2 devoted to landscape and 2 devoted to environment. In 1974, when it was terminated, there were already 6 departments, research stations in Banská Štiavnica, Liptovský Mikuláš, Východná, about 100 employees. In 1975, the ILB, Institute of Landscape Biology, has been terminated and was incorporated to new institutes. And it was the Institute of Experimental Biology and Ecology, and then later on, establishment of the Center of Biological and Ecological Sciences, SAS. They were all joining several institutes, but never mind, we didn't cry. We fought for landscape ecology on our methodology. Continually, the two basic landscape ecological department was established already at the Institute of Landscape Biology remained and continued the work. And it is to underline again that also the center significantly supported the complexity of the research, of the landscape research. It was no problems with our research. And the center received a mass of requests to address a wide range of tasks in the field of environment protection. The years 75 and 90, really it was a successful era of Ruška and his collective. It was a frontal attack of our family for scientific laurels. Lande, the landscape ecological planning, appeared on the market. There were successes, both at home and abroad. Of course, not to the general satisfaction of all domestic competitors. Just to say, like funny, when the Ružička family arrived at the conference, they centrally flooded the conferences with maps, new ideas, procedures, and methodologies. Sometimes it was difficult, but we were all incredibly passionate. We gained friends, but it is to say that there are also envious competitors. Anyway, the effort of Ružička and Ružička family continued, and the very famous actions were the International Scientific Symposium on Landscape Research. We are now also on one of them. It was started in 1967, and there were every 3 years. The symposium in 1973 up to 1982 had decisive impact on the theoretical methodological development of landscape ecology in international dimension. The main, one of the very important symposium was the third one, where the main theme were content and object of the complex landscape research. It was to clarify the fights and that what is actually the landscape and landscape ecology. A very important contribution was from the group of German geographers Neff, Richter, Barsch, Hase, Beitrage zur Klärung der Terminologie in der Landschaftsforschung. It was only the Beilage, and probably it was printed probably 300 pieces, so it is not really available, but it was a very important issue, and we all learned from this material. 6th International Symposium, what we celebrate also today. It was in Piešťany 25th and 30th October of 1982. It was the day, or it was the time to the establishment of IALE. We felt that it was an acknowledgement of Czechoslovak endeavors for international cooperation in the field of landscape ecology. But it is to add also that the original proposal for establishing the association were put forward by the group of Dutch landscape ecologists at the International Congress Perspective in Landscape Ecology in Veldhoven in April 1981. So also the Dutch geographers and ecologists had a big deal. They did a big deal to establish that. Other main themes of 6th symposium were, let's say, ecosystem approach to the agricultural landscape, clarification of many questions, among others, that there is no need for unconditional unification of opinions, nor strict delineations of the subject of landscape ecology. And there was a very famous statement of Isaac Sonneveld, that who is the landscape ecologist? And he thought, one who deals with the landscape. Probably it's still valid. It happened also during the symposium. I don't know if here is somebody who remembers this. This is Milan Ružička and myself. And then on the below picture, there is also a Dutch guy. I don't know who know him. I don't remember even his name. He played on clarinet. Okay, what was the important direction of our work? The regular cooperation with project and planning institutes, and probably it was one of the deal what differentiated us from other academic institutes. There were dozens of applied projects with agricultural planning institute, with Urbion, it was an urbanistic institute, the office of the chief architects from different towns, and the collaboration with the Stavo project. It was also a building a planning institute. Can be confident to consider the largest systematically organized collaboration of landscape ecology with practice, even in an international comparison. The institute became also the coordinator center of an important complex landscape ecological task within the Comecon. It was the organization of socialist countries, and it was called improvement of the methods of the transfer of ecological basis into planning processes. Then came the revolution in Slovakia and Czechoslovakia in Central Europe, and the Center of Ecological Research has been split, and newly was established the ILE, the Institute of Landscape Ecology of Slovak Academy of Sciences, what are we now guest of this, and I am still working in this. Professor Ružička remained the director until 1996. There were departments in Bratislava, Nitra, Banská Štiavnica, Košice, and research station in Východná. It has been changed since that time, but never mind. We continued the main original scope of Institute for Landscape Biology. It was a strong accent on application still. We further developed the applied landscape ecological methods and the landscape ecological planning LANDEP and the territorial system of ecological stability. And implementation of LANDEP and SAS to regular planning practice is considered from my point of view as a very important point of our work. Today, the landscape ecology in the system is already in the system of sciences in Slovak Republic. It is implemented to group of geosciences and relative environmental sciences as krajinná ecología, landscape ecology. So it is established already. Now, what are the basic theoretical foundation of landscape ecology in Slovakia? What was and what is still? What was the influences, the basic influences? There were three main influences or way of influences. It was the Soviet school, who considered the landscape as the natural part of the country. Very important persons were Slonce, Vysachenko, Sošava, Preobrazhensky. The second was a very strong influence of German school, more exactly the German Democratic Republic school, what was NEF, it was the Leipzig school. Neff, Richter, Barsch, Hase, but also Schmitthus and Haber, Leser. And the West European and North American school were very diversified directions, but probably the main influence on us was the spatial structural approach, landscape as the structure of the land cover, the Pesch and the matrix and so on. Very important persons what we learned from them were Snaken, Bolly, Sonneveld, Barnes, Foreman, Godon, and others. Then we somehow created our Central European or Czechoslovak approach. We were very close to original understanding of Troll and the German school, especially Hase's approach. that we combined the horizontal geographical approach with vertical ecological functional approach. And this is the main line up to date. The combination of horizontal geographical approach with vertical ecological functional approach. And we in very early time absorbed the geosystem approach from Krchov, Demek, Sočava, Preobrежje, Nábeh, Antrop, and others. Scientific orientation of Institute of Landscape Ecology. Again, I would underline that there were two basic landscape ecological departments which remained from the very beginning, from 1965 up to date. It is Department of Landscape Ecological Synthesis. It was the complex landscape ecological research, and Department of Landscape Ecological Analysis, what was the research of landscape elements. Some methodical approaches, I would not like to go to them, but I would like to underline two basic approaches. It was the topical vertical model and choric horizontal spatial model. And we understood, and up to date, we understand the landscape as these three structures: primary, basically abiotic elements; secondary, biotic elements and land cover; and tertiary, socio-economical, non-material elements or factors. It is base for all our research and applications up to date. So that are some methodical issues. I don't want to go to detail. So there are the three structures. One of the structures was the landscape as a geosystem became was implemented to the act in Slovak legislation. And we continued to develop the theoretical verse from 1997, what was the first book on landscape as geosystem, up to 2019, what was the trilogy in Springer: Landscape is Geosystem, Landscape Ecological Planning, and Ecological Network and Territorial System of Ecological Stability. The application of geosystem approach was the main direction of the application was the ecological optimum utilization and spatial organization of the landscape. It was again the two directions. Utilization is functional, vertical approach, and spatial organization, the spatial horizontal approach. Land was also acknowledged several times also abroad. Let's say in the first issue of Landscape Ecology, the president of Intercol, Frank Galli, characterized the work of Milan Ružička and myself in the editorial as representing one of the two main directions in landscape ecology focused on ecological planning. We were also very proud that Land by word appeared also in Agenda 21 from UNCED in Rio de Janeiro, but the main success we consider that we implemented Land and SAS to the legislation and to the real planning practice as obligatory basis. So it is the citation from Agenda 21, Chapter 10, Integrated Approach to the Management of Land Resources, where the Land appeared by words. The Department of Ecosystem Analysis continued the detailed research in very different teams. I would like to underline that development of partial methods were basis for landscape ecological synthesis. So without this analytical work, we wouldn't be able to continue the synthesis. Then a new department arrived, was established in Nitra. They developed very special methods, diverse projects, including biodiversity, ecosystem services, and so on. And we have also supporting structures in our institute, section of science information, research station, we could not. What was big projects of during this time? And I would underline that I should mention complex projects by collective elaboration, not individual project and not individual elaboration, the complex and collective. The biggest ever, the largest, truly collective, was ecological plan of the East Slovakian homeland in 1982 to 1986. 30 co-authors for 2 years, and so on. So it was the result. The map was elaborated in the scale 1 to 25,000, and the whole map, this one, what you see, have in this scale 3 times 3 meter. It was divided to 8 sheets, but the whole map was 3 times 3 meter. Some examples. That time we tried also somehow to computerize our work, but it was very primitive for computer graphic. The terrain work, sometimes problems, because it was a very hard work in the terrain, flooded and very wet conditions. Others. Výstavu projekt Banská Bystrica, we executed several dozens of projects as basis for master plans of different settlements. Then it was a very big project, general ecological model for Czechoslovakia and Slovakia in 1986. After 1999 came, we got new technologies, appeared the GIS, remote sensing. What resulted to big work as atlases, creation of databases, and very diversified projects. The biggest one was the landscape atlas of Slovak Republic in 2002. Probably it is somewhere here also as exposition. Also, the concept of atlas followed our main direction, functional and spatial horizontal approach, and 3 landscape structures. The landscape was created according to these headlines. Just an example. The basic scale of atlas was 1 to 500,000. It was also a baptism of the atlas in scientific library in Banská Bystrica, where the godfather was that time the president of the Slovak Academy of Sciences, Mr. Luby. Then another atlas work was Atlas of Representative Geographies into Slovakia in 2005, which was issued in Slovak, in English and Hungarian in 2 editions, so probably it was a successful. Then, in cooperation with Hungarian colleagues, we elaborated the landscape-ecological evaluation of the Ipel catchment. What I would underline, one of the results was the catalog of the data and GIS of this region. Some examples. Another atlas was the Atlas of Archetypes of Landscape in Slovakia. It was elaborated by colleagues in Nitra. Then a quite new catalog was the catalog of the ecosystem service of Slovakia in 2015, also the colleagues of Nitra. Then a big work was the automatization of the projecting that SAS. It was cooperation with a GIS company in Banská Štiavnica, which was produced a lot of computerized map production. Let's say a very new approach was the ecological stability of the landscape according to the cumulative spatial impact of landscape element to the space. Then a system classification and characteristic of the potential geosystem of Slovakia 2023. And finally, we are already today, it is the Atlas of the Natural Capital of Slovakia, which is now in print. it is the example of the map sheets in this atlas. Let's say one of the map, this absolute natural bioproductive potential of the geosystems. Okay, so nowadays our institute is part of very extensive international projects. Probably my colleagues will present them. And I would like to finish with the word that still is a mess of theme to be solved. Thank you for your attention and have a nice time in Slovakia.
Thank you very much. A 15-minute discussion will follow with questions from the audience and from the streamed room via the Huwa app. So you can ask.
It is too early for questions. And I would say that I have some problems also with my ears, so it will be better not to ask.
I can ask you.
It's over, thank you again. Just I would like to add that it was on reminiscences. So I consider myself part of reminiscences.
Can I ask a question? You make an estimate of the number of maps you create in your career. You made an estimate about the number of maps that you created in your career.
Yeah.
How many maps?
Yeah, how many? Let's say in Atlas, just in Atlas, the was about 700. Let's say in Slovakia, low one, it was probably 100, probably more. Hello. We never counted. But it is again, I would like to underline that our approach. We try to do the vertical approach, so it is the functional interconnection with all of the landscape elements, and then the spatial organization, how they are connected, interrelated each to other in the space. So it is partly now the main direction of our thesis, also the atlas of potentials of Slovakia.
There is a question here in Huwa app. Is there any involvement with landscape issues, research or protection from the cultural development in Slovakia? We consider landscape also as cultural heritage, so I'm curious of the situation here.
It's a very interesting question, but it has some politics behind. The Ministry of the Nature Conservation before 1990 was belonged to the Ministry of Culture, So there is some connection till now, and after that time, after 1990, we established a UNESCO chair for ecological awareness and sustainable development, and the first project was environment and culture. And we consider that the land use is one of the most visible part of the culture of the nation. So it was a very nice project, but somehow it has not a big success because those who are protecting the cultural monuments were other persons who protected the landscape. So somehow, but it is no problems with us, but I don't think that there is a close relation between these two things nowadays. One of the directions of our institute is the historical landscape structures, what is culture, but not institutionally, that with the Ministry of Culture or whatever other cultural institutes.
Thank you very much, Miklós, for a fantastic overview. you have also been a prominent politician in Slovakia, also in Czechoslovakia. So my question to you is, could you share with us a few reflections about how to bring in landscape and landscape ecology into the political process? Because you have seen that from both sides in your work.
It is an echo to because I have this in my ears.
Okay, I'm asking into your role as a politician also over the years, and I'm asking you if you could tell a little bit about the conditions for bringing in landscape ecology into the political process of economic development in general, I would ask. Is that a...
Vital.
You don't hear it or not?
No. During my functions, I remained whole time under my political functions. I remained the employee in our institute, so I continued my scientific work. But concerning the relation of my work with our scientific results was very important, because since I had some political power, so I succeeded to implement our methods to the legislation. So it was a very important one. And let's say the definition of the landscape, what became the part of the Act on Territorial Planning and Building Order, were exactly the same as our scientific definition. And besides of that, let's say it was very important that the elements of the landscape and their indexes are obligatory regulatives. It is called regulatives, obligatory regulatives for all plants. So it was quite a success. I wouldn't say that everything was perfect, because the realization is something else than the legislation. But anyway, it was a success. I apologize very much that I don't understand, because I have this instrument in my ears, but it is echoing. So. So thank you for your questions.
Thank you very much.